If I could go back to the day I first brought home my Syrian hamster, there are things I would have done so differently. And honestly, knowing what I know now, I'm a little heartbroken that I didn't know it then. But that's exactly why you're here. And that's exactly why I made this video. Because you deserve to know the secrets that most hamster owners only learn after making mistakes they wish they hadn't. So stay with me. All 7 of these changed everything for me. And I promise by the end of this you are going to feel so ready, so excited, and so much more connected to your little Syrian hamster than you ever thought possible. I still remember the day I brought home my first Syrian hamster. I had done maybe 2 hours of research on YouTube. I had a tiny cage from the pet store. I had those little colorful wood shavings. I had a tiny wheel. I thought I was ready. I thought I had everything figured out. And then I watched my hamster just sit in the corner, not exploring, not playing, just sitting there, looking almost confused. And I remember thinking, did I do something wrong? Is he okay? Is this just what hamsters do? And the answer, I found out way too late, was yes. Yes, I had done something wrong. Not out of cruelty, not out of laziness, just out of not knowing. And that feeling of realizing you unintentionally made your pet's life harder, that sticks with you. So I made it my mission to learn everything, absolutely everything. And now I want to hand all of that to you, right here, right now. Let's get into it. Secret number 1, and honestly this one blew my mind when I first found out. Your Syrian hamster does not sleep because they are lazy. They sleep because they are wired that way, and if you mess with that cycle, you can actually stress them out without even realizing it. Syrian hamsters are crepuscular, which means they are most active at dusk and dawn, not during the day, not in the middle of the afternoon when you want to hold them and show them off to your friends. They are literally programmed to be awake when the world gets quieter and darker. And here is the part that gets really important really fast. If you keep waking them up during the day, if you keep tapping the cage, picking them up, pulling them out when they are deep in sleep, their body registers that as stress, real physical stress. And over time, chronic stress in a Syrian hamster can lead to a weakened immune system, behavioral problems, and something called wet tail, which is one of the most dangerous conditions a hamster can get. I did not know this. I was waking my hamster up every single afternoon because I wanted to interact with him, and he would come out looking groggy and annoyed, and I just thought it was funny. It was not funny. It was hurting him. So what do you do instead? You adjust your schedule a little. Try interacting with your hamster in the early evening, around sunset time. That is when they naturally wake up. That is when they are excited, alert, curious, and actually want to explore and be social. The difference in energy and personality is absolutely wild. It is like meeting a completely different hamster. And once you sync up with their natural rhythm, bonding becomes so much easier and so much more joyful. Now, secret number 2, and this one makes almost every new Syrian hamster owner go completely quiet when they hear it. The cage you bought from the pet store is almost definitely too small. I know that hurts to hear. It hurt me too. But listen, the minimum recommended cage size for a Syrian hamster, specifically not dwarf hamsters, not any other species but a Syrian hamster, is at least 40 by 20 inches of floor space. That is roughly 800 square inches, and most cages sold in pet stores, they offer somewhere between 200 and 400 square inches, half the space, sometimes less. Syrian hamsters are one of the largest hamster species, and in the wild they can run up to 5 miles every single night. 5 miles in one night. So putting them in a tiny cage is not just inconvenient for them, it causes something called cage aggression, repetitive stress behaviors like bar chewing and wall surfing, and deep psychological frustration. The craziest part is, once I upgraded my hamster to a proper 40 by 20 enclosure, he transformed. He started exploring every single corner. He started digging massive burrows. He started using his wheel like crazy. He became a completely different, completely alive little creature. And that moment honestly made me tear up a little, because I realized He had been bored and frustrated this whole time, and I had just not seen it. If you are on a budget, do not worry. There are affordable options. IKEA Detolf enclosures converted into hamster tanks are super popular and very spacious. Bin cages made from large storage totes are incredibly cheap, easy to make, and work amazingly well. You do not need to spend hundreds of dollars. You just need to think bigger than what the pet store is selling you. Okay, secret number 3. And this one involves something that looks completely adorable and totally harmless but can actually cause real physical damage. The wheel. The wheel in your starter kit, or the wheel that came with your cage, is probably too small for a Syrian hamster. And when a hamster runs on a wheel that is too small, their spine curves downward, every single stride, over and over again, night after night. That kind of repeated stress on their spine can cause chronic pain, joint issues, and long-term mobility problems. A Syrian hamster needs a wheel that is at least 10 to 12 inches in diameter, not 6 inches, not 8 inches, 10 to 12. And it needs to be a solid running surface, not a mesh or barred one, because tiny feet and legs can get caught in the gaps and cause serious injuries. The wheels I always recommend are the Night Angel wheels, the Wodent wheel, and the Rody wheel for Syrian hamsters. They are smooth, they are silent, they are the right size, and watching your hamster absolutely sprint on one of those things at 2 in the morning while you are trying to sleep is honestly one of the most hilarious and heartwarming experiences of hamster ownership. Just maybe put the cage somewhere you cannot hear it at night. Trust me on that one. But wait, there is something even better coming up in Secret 5 that ties directly into why exercise matters so much for Syrians. Keep watching. Secret number 4, and this one is something I genuinely wish someone had sat me down and told me on day 1. Bedding depth is not optional. It is not decorative. It is a psychological and physical need. Syrian hamsters are burrowing animals. In the wild, they dig tunnel systems that can go up to 3 feet deep underground. 3 feet. So when you put 2 inches of bedding in their cage, you are not giving them a comfortable floor covering. You are taking away one of the most fundamental parts of what makes them feel safe, secure, and happy. The minimum recommended bedding depth for a Syrian hamster is 6 to 8 inches across, at least a third of the enclosure. And ideally, you want one corner of the cage to have 10 to 12 inches of deep bedding, so they can actually build a proper burrow system. I remember the first time I filled my hamster's enclosure with real deep bedding, like truly deep. I piled it up in one corner until it was almost touching the lid, and I just sat back and watched. And within 20 minutes he was digging, actually digging, like an absolute tiny excavation machine. He moved bedding with his cheeks, with his paws. He pushed tunnels through it. He collapsed them and rebuilt them. He was so incredibly engaged and alive that I just sat there with my hand over my mouth watching him and thinking, this is what he was always supposed to do. I just never let him. The best beddings for Syrian hamsters are paper-based beddings like Carefresh or Kitey Clean and Cozy, or unscented soft paper bedding. Avoid cedar, avoid pine. The aromatic oils in those woods are toxic to hamsters and can cause respiratory damage over time. Go unscented, go deep, and go generous. Your hamster will thank you in the most adorable way possible. Have you ever seen a hamster disappear completely into their bedding and then suddenly peek their little nose out 30 minutes later, looking extremely proud of themselves? Because that is what deep bedding gives you. And it is everything. Secret number 5. And this one connects directly back to the wheel conversation we had a few minutes ago, and it is going to reframe the way you think about your hamster's entire day. Enrichment is not a luxury. It is a medical necessity. Syrian hamsters have one of the highest enrichment needs of any small pet. Their brains are constantly active, they problem solve, they explore, they forage, they cache food, they build. And when their environment does not give them enough to do, they develop what are called stereotypic behaviors. These are repetitive, compulsive actions that serve no real purpose but that the hamster does over and over again because their brain has nowhere else to put all that energy. Things like bar chewing, constant wall surfing where they frantically climb and claw at the sides of the cage, backflipping, excessive grooming, or just pacing in circles. If you have ever seen your hamster do any of these things and thought it looked weird or funny, I want you to hear me gently when I say, that is actually a sign that something in their environment needs to change. The good news, and there is so much good news here, is that fixing this is genuinely fun. Enrichment for a Syrian hamster can be so simple. Scatter feeding their food instead of putting it in a bowl forces them to forage and sniff and search, which lights up the foraging part of their brain in the most satisfying way. Adding tunnels, hides, cork logs, and different textures gives them new terrain to navigate every time you rearrange things. Giving them a sand bath dish, because yes, hamsters absolutely love rolling around in fine sand to clean themselves, gives them a sensory experience they adore. Hiding treats inside toilet paper rolls or little cardboard boxes gives them a puzzle to solve. My hamster has a whole setup that I rearrange every 2 weeks so it always feels new and exciting to him. And every single time I change it, he spends the first hour just sniffing and exploring every inch of it like a tiny detective on a very important mission. It is so sweet I can barely handle it. Secret number 6. This one is short, but it is critical, and so many people get it wrong. Your Syrian hamster needs to live alone, always. This is not a preference, it is not a guideline, it is a hard biological truth. Syrian hamsters are fiercely, intensely solitary animals. In the wild, adults actively defend their own territory and will fight off any other hamster who enters it, including other Syrians, including ones they grew up with. Housing 2 Syrian hamsters together, no matter how much you want them to be friends, is one of the most dangerous things you can do. They will fight, sometimes immediately, sometimes after weeks of seeming fine, and those fights can be catastrophically violent. Hamsters can injure each other severely, and in some cases fatally. I know it sounds sad. I know you look at your little Hammy and think, does not he get lonely? And here is the thing. From a human perspective, yes, it looks like loneliness. But from a Syrian hamster's biological perspective, being alone is not loneliness. It is safety. It is security. It is exactly what their brain and body is wired for. Your presence, your voice, your scent, the interaction you have with them every evening, that is their social life, and it is enough. They do not need a hamster roommate. They need you. And honestly, that is kind of beautiful. Okay, we are at secret number 7, and I saved this one for last because it is the one that hits the deepest. And it is the one I think about every single day as a hamster owner. Syrian hamsters have a shorter lifespan than almost any other pet. On average, 2 to 3 years. Some reach 3.5 if they are very healthy and very well cared for. And that is it. That is the whole timeline. And I want to talk about this not to make you sad, but because understanding this completely changes how you show up for your hamster every single day. When you only have 2 to 3 years with someone, every single enrichment decision matters. Every upgrade to their cage matters. Every evening you spend sitting by their enclosure watching them explore matters. Every treat you hand feed them, every time they take food from your fingers, every moment they fall asleep in your hand matters. Because those moments are not just cute, they are the whole story. They are the entire relationship. And they go fast. They go so fast. I lost my first hamster after 2.5 years, and I held him at the end, this tiny little warm creature who had made my apartment feel so much more alive, and I just thought about every single mistake I had made in the beginning, the small cage, the shallow bedding, the daytime waking, and then I thought about everything I had fixed, everything I had learned, the big enclosure I eventually gave him, the deep burrows he built, the sand bath he loved so much, the happy evenings watching him sprint on his wheel. And I realized, even with the early mistakes, we figured it out together. And his last year was such a good year. I want that for you. I want you to start with everything I wish I had known. I want your Syrian hamster's first day home to already be better than my hamster's first day home, because you watched this video, because you cared enough to learn before you made the mistakes. And that already makes you an amazing hamster parent. So let's do a quick recap, because I want these 7 secrets burned into your brain before you close this video. 1. Respect their sleep cycle and interact in the evening. 2. Upgrade to at least 40 by 20 inches of cage space. 3. Get a wheel that is 10 to 12 inches and solid surface only. 4. Give them at least 6 to 8 inches of deep paper bedding. 5. Enrich their environment constantly because their brain needs it. 6. Never house 2 Syrian hamsters together, ever. And 7. Cherish every single day because their time with you is precious and it passes quickly. If this video helped you, if it opened your eyes even a little bit, please share it with someone who just got a Syrian hamster or is thinking about getting one, because these secrets can genuinely change a hamster's quality of life, and that matters so much. Drop a comment below and tell me which secret surprised you the most. I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. This community, this little corner of the internet that we have built together around Syrian hamster care, it means everything to me. And if you want to go even deeper, my next video is going to blow your mind. We are talking about the 7 biggest Syrian hamster cage mistakes that people make even after they think they know everything, including one setup error that almost every hamster owner makes without realizing it, even when they have the right size cage. You are going to want to watch that one the second it drops. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss it. Welcome to HammyRealm. Your hamster is so lucky to have you, and I am so glad you are here.